Greetings, duelists, and welcome to another video. So, uh, I've been having a lot of frequently asked questions involving the Vanquish Soul deck. Some of these questions that I've been already asked are things that I already addressed on past videos. The first thing I'm going to say before you tune in to this video is feel free to check older Vanquish Soul videos that I have done in the past, because I do cover a lot of things in those previous videos that kind of address the questions for people that have questions for my more recent videos. That being said, I will make a playlist very soon, probably, and even though there are many videos covering a certain amount of things, we might pin one or two in the description just for you to find them easier. That being said, I'm still going to make this video because there are some questions that I did not answer on the previous Vanquish Soul videos, and as well there have been a lot of questions in general, and I feel it's just a lot easier if I just do brainstorm circle and just answer a lot of things, and not only that but also mention a lot of things moving forward. There are things that I kind of wanted to keep on the wraps, wait until we're more and more closer to Age of Overlord. However, I think it's a lot easier to just explain it now and bring it up, because more and more people were just going to are going to have more and more dubious like discussion and explanations needed in how Vanquish Soul is going to be adapting to the format, or how it is played at the moment. Um, but yeah, without further ado, let's begin. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to show you a small update. I did play the deck yesterday at locals. It was in Titan Games. There was 16 players. I ended on second place. My only loss was to Chimera Branded in the final round. Um, I that matchup, it's not an unfavorable matchup. They just threw way better than I did. Um, like game one, my opponent bricked, so I won game one. But game two and three, they opened double branded fusion, and they went first. Like they went first in the second game. In the third game, they just had the branded fusion, and I didn't drew the answers for the branded fusion. I didn't open Ash Blossom. I didn't open Dimension Shift, Dimensional Barrier. I did not open many strong cards as them, and uh, I'm going to do a discussion in the future talking about branded, because it is a deck that it did not get hit on the next Forbidden Limited list, and it is a deck that is actually topping. Um, but that's a discussion for another day. Now we're just going to show you the Vanquish deck that I have built at the moment, and then we'll go with the frequently asked questions and answers. Um, but yeah, 3 Razan, 3 Madlove, 2 Borgar, 1 Pluton, 1 Pantera, 1 Caesar. I guess we can add the 2 spells and the 3 Stake Your Souls. This is a staple in every Vanquish deck. You're always gonna play 3. That's never going to be a debate. The only debate here, sometimes is between continue and dust double, and sometimes multiple continue. Uh, if you're very experienced with the deck, you don't need more than one continue. You should be fine with just these two. There are often times you will want to feel like you want to play another continue, just so you can just fight the grind game a lot better. And the second value behind the continue is if your opponent actually breaks through your board and breaks through your interruptions, or they have the efficient board breakers, or utility cards that they need to just contest with your board a lot easier. This just makes it so you can keep playing, and you can solidify the later turns, or at the same time just give yourself the resources that you need to stop your opponent. um some Vanquish Soul lists are not playing this, at least in the Samurai build. I think that you really have to play this in this format. Moving into the next format with a Rise Heart gone, maybe Kashtira won't be as popular. However, this card still has a lot of value against a lot of matchups, and just having the interaction you have against stuff like Book, for example, etc., 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 just makes it very, very favorable for this card. Um, you can debate whether to play more than one Caesar or not. At the current moment, I am playing one. I think one Caesar is perfectly fine with me. Um, but most builds that do centralize on playing small world just like playing more than one, because sometimes this actually does come up as a small world bridge to get to Rasen. Um, like for example, if you're playing something like Nibiru in your main or your side deck, uh, you might want to play more than one Caesar because you can Nibiru into Rasen just using the Caesar as part of the bridge. That's one example. Um, I think I think Pluton is like no real debate. However, a lot of people don't like this card, and a lot of people just don't play this card. I think that just being a searchable fire attribute Vanquish Soul just gives it a lot of value. Post Age of Overlord, we're getting another fire Vanquish Soul monster that is just as useful as Pluton. So maybe in the future, Pluton might not be needed anymore. However, that Vanquish Soul monster does require multiple fire monsters in order to use his effect as most optimally, meaning that you might want you might want Pluton in your arsenal just because it's a fire monster. Um, Panthera. In this build, the Super Heavy Samurai build, I'm only playing one. If you're playing the Parallel Exceed version, you should play more than one because it is a level 4 Vanquish Soul monster, so that you can link into Rock of the Vanquisher, meaning that it gives you the benefit of using Parallel Exceed. The second the second thing to note is that Panthera is a special summon. You can summon. So if you end up doing the parallel play, you can do it without even using your normal summon, which sometimes actually does come up. Um, Heavy Burger. Most builds are playing three. Even the samurai builds, I opted to play two because I have a lot of dark attribute monsters already. Um, Pretty much like I have Crow. That's the main difference from the build of yesterday, or the build that you saw on Sunday, compared to this build. I am playing Crow instead of Shifter. I'm pretty much testing it out. And I also play Manamut and Durus Worm. If you pair that with the 3 Dr. Madlove and multiple Borgers, you have a lot of dark attribute monsters. So you really don't need like Borger at many copies. However, you can make the argument that you just want to open the Borger as often, just so you can dodge all those targeting cards like Imperm, Book, etc. So I wouldn't say there's now a real answer to this. I'm playing two because of preference, but you can pretty much easily just play three. Just take note there is a high level attribute monster, so if you don't open the smaller Vanquish Souls, or open like a way to tutor them out, like something like Sticker Soul or Rhoda or like Small World, you will brick on this card. Um, but more often than not, you shouldn't be bricking. I've seen people on two Dr. Matlove instead of three. Dr. Matlove is not a real starter. This card does not start your plays. If Stake Your Soul was a Vanquish Soul card, then Dr. Matlove would have been the best card in the deck. It would have been a lot better than Rosin, especially since she's a dark attribute. But I understand why Konami didn't give it the name. Just it would have just made this deck a lot more consistent, and probably would have made it like a little bit more unfair than it actually is. Um, I'm pretty much playing 3 because it is a small Vanquish Soul monster. It is a dark attribute for a reveal. It is a monster you can easily summon out. And in this build, which is the Samurai build, you're playing a lot of more Earth monsters. So Dr. Madlove actually becomes a real interruption against certain decks. So that merit alone already gives you like a full benefit of just one warranting playing multiples. It's also level 4, and I am playing rank 4s in this deck, so that's something to note there. Um, so that's it involving like the vanquish ratios. Um, so one frequently asked question was involving the non-vanquish soul side, at least like for example the ratio behind these cards. Uh, Somebody asked why I'm not playing 3 Fenrir. If you've been following this channel and seen enough of my videos, you probably already know that I wasn't on Fenrir for the longest time. The main deck is currently at 42 cards at this current moment, and I don't want to bump it to 43. I think just opening multiple Fenrirs is just very awkward as well. Um, I feel that if I am not playing the Samurai build, I would probably up Fenrir to 3. Um, just because it's another card that can help like facilitate your plays without your normal summon. And it can get you to the Rise Heart. And the Rise Heart is mainly here because of Stake Your Soul. It has come up. I have drawn Fenrir Stake Your Soul a good amount of times, and it's a fair amount of times that it just warranted me playing this. Yesterday at locals, it did come up twice, so I don't regret this choice. Uh, I was asked why I'm not playing any rank 7s in my extra deck. Um, I already covered this previously, but I don't think that I need any rank 7s at the moment. Um, there is the argument that you can just cut the zoo monsters and just make room for 2 more XYZs, and then you can just put rank 7s on that regard. However, I don't feel like I really need to just summoning rank 7s anymore. Especially now, since a Rise Heart is getting forbidden, there are no real, like, super threatening rank 7s that you're summoning that is just going to solidify your games. Like, the only one I can think of on the spot is Red Eye Darkness Flare Metal Dragon, and that's a very, very niche scenario. The scenario I'm talking about is pretty much just like revealing with Borgard multiple times. That way, you burn your opponent in through a deficit of life points where they're pressured under the flare metal. Um, that's like one example of it. Um, I was asked why no Nibiru. Uh, I don't think Nibiru is incorrect in this deck. However, Nibiru not being a fire, earth, or dark attribute is a very big deal. I do think that if we're going to play an impactful hand trap, it pretty much has to give you multiple utility. And Nibiru is mainly just a card to like deal with your opponent, like evading your opponent to make a threatening board, and you already have 2 cards that do that. Like you have Dogoran and you have the Kurikara. So like if your opponent ends up just making very, very problematic monsters on you, you have a way to tutor them, and they are at fire attribute reveals. Most decks that do very, very oppressive things are graveyard centric, and you already have graveyard centric hand traps that can deal with that. Um, Adding to that, you pretty much just have Ash Blossom as well, and which is like one of the better hand traps in this deck, or like in the format in general. So I've just felt like Nibiru is just a card that is not going to do as well for me into multiple matchups as stuff like these cards right here, and I didn't want to risk that. It also is a card that conflicts with Fenrir, and it also conflicts with the Panthera, which is another thing to take note of. Why no prosperity? I also covered this in past videos. The thing about prosperity is it conflicts with the draw effect from heavy Borgar. It conflicts with triple tactic talents to draw cards as well. Um, and it's a card that shaves off your extra deck. And even though your extra deck like is very flexible in the samurai build specifically, you don't want to shave your extra deck. A lot of cards in the extra deck does come up, like for example, let the synchros come up if you're playing the samurais. Um, you are going to go through the rocks. That's already 7 monsters in the extra deck. Um, if you go second, you want to like contest your boards. You have your XYCs. If you want to like, if you know the matchup, you're going to go through Dweller, and like if you want to tutor the Rosin, you have the Dempsey. That leaves only like 3 to 5 only real extra deck slots that you really can like shave off without worrying about the rest as utility, and that's not good enough value to warrant the prosperity. Um, if it was not the samurai build, you can make the argument for prosperity a lot more. However, I do value the draws from heavy Borgar a lot, especially in this type of deck, because the way you want to play Vanquish Soul is you want to have as many monsters in your hand as possible. And even though prosperity can get you specifically to one card that you might need, I feel like just taking away the ability to +1 is very very like hurtful, especially with the discussion involving the extra deck. Um, why not desires? Desires is a +1. However, desires can take away key cards from your deck, and I feel like even though you are gaining a +1 out of it, like risking yourself losing your copies of Rosin, losing your copies of your bigger Vanquish Soul names, which are one ofs, banishing like multiple of just one already needed card is just way too strong to like circumvent playing desires. I think post Age of Overlord, a product desires might be a lot more favorable because you will be playing a more centralized version that involves like less engine requirements. Um, so I was asked uh there was a couple questions involving the samurai build since we already brought it up. Um, for those who don't remember, these are the samurai ratios. It's 8 monsters. So the first question I was asked is, why do I have a heavy spell and trap side deck despite me playing the samurais? So one thing to answer is, I won't be keeping the samurai stuff every single game 2 and 3. If I know I'm going second and I know I have a matchup where I want more non-utility instead of my samurai monsters, then I will side out the samurai stuff and just make room for the utility cards. And that's already 8 main deck slots. Like 8 cards available for you to like pour in your side deck is really really strong. It's something not a lot of decks have the leisure to do, and against certain matchups you just don't want this engine going second. One example I'll give you is my branded Chimera opponent yesterday. I faced branded Chimera, and the guy did the Chimera King, and it sniped a spell out of my hand, and I already had the Wakaushi, and I couldn't do Wakaushi. I faced Labyrinth as well. My Labyrinth opponent did the same exact thing. They did Lovely Labyrinth to just snipe a card out of my hand, and they just sniped another spell card. While I also had a Samurai monster. Um, so that's like one thing to take note of. Like, if you know you're facing a matchup where they're just going to start picking up cards from your engine, then you might want to side out the samurais, because if it happens like the Labyrinth and the branded Chimera players do, and they end up like sniping spell cards and dunking them into the graveyard, you already have 8 dead cards going second. Another thing about the samurais that I kind of want to bring up is sometimes you will keep the samurai stuff going second, and even if they are dead cards, they're they're dead in their utility, but they're not dead because they're attributes for revealing for your Vanquish Soul monsters, and they're also bridges for Small World. Like, I'll give you one example. Let's say you have the motorbike and you can't activate the motorbike. You can just Small World, reveal the motorbike, and you can change the motorbike into Dogoran because they both share 1200 defense. And the Dogoran is a fire attribute monster, so you can turn the Dogoran into Razin. Like, and that's already one utility mentioned there as an example. It also serves as attributes for Stake Your Soul. It also serves as like I've been in a situation where I summoned the Caesar and I just normal summoned the motorbike and I just synchro them both for Baron. That did come up once. There was another occasion where I had Bestial Magnamut on board and I just normaled the Wakaushi and I synchroed into the Chaos Angel. And then the Wakaushi just scaled itself, which ended up giving me the ability to Pendulum Summon because I already had the Big Benkei. So I also was asked why the Samurais over Parallel Exceed. I did a video on it. I did cover it before. However, I will mention it here. So out of every engine you can play in Vanquish Soul, this deck has the highest ceiling. Not only does it have the highest ceiling, it also gives you the ability to do a couple different things. Like, for example, just summoning multiple rank 4s. That is one big utility out of this engine. Making good utility synchros is another thing that you cannot do in many Vanquish builds. Summoning Omega or like Baron the Floor sometimes does come up. It's very crucial. Sometimes doing stuff like, for example, turning the Druid's Worm into like the Chaos Angel and just having double non-destruction removal is something very beneficial against a matchup like Unchained, for example. There are benefits to Parallel. One benefit about Parallel is that it gives you more room for non-engine or more room for your Vanquish cards a lot frequently. Another cool thing about Parallel is that it is also a Small World bridge. You can Small World into the Parallel or outside the Parallel. You can Parallel Caesar into Razin, or you can Parallel Dr. Matlove into Razin, or something that I did in the past was use Parallel as a bridge to get to Droll Lockbird, or just use the Droll Lockbird to get to another monster. That did happen once, and it won me the game. It won me the game against Flunderies, and look, if you already know, Flunderies already like won the last YCS. So that goes to tell you like the value behind something like this. Excuse the noise in the background. You're probably gonna hear it. No way to fix that. Neighbors was cutting on a Monday. Am I right? So I think that's most of the frequently asked questions. I guess another thing to cover would be why am I not playing other board breakers like Dark Ruler no more? I already brought up Nibiru. Dark Ruler no more, you can play it in this deck. I'm not opposed to that card at all. Now that Arise Heart is not in the format, Forbidden Droplets and Enemy Controller are two other cards that you can also play in this deck. And I have considered them all. Like, trust me when I say I did. I just found all these other cards that I'm playing just a lot more impactful and a lot more beneficial at the moment. Jesse Cotton did a video on the staples priority list, so if you ever want to check something like that, just use that video as like a merit for you to think about what cards you actually want in your Vanquish Soul deck and whether or not those cards are useful or not. But yeah, that's about it. I think I covered pretty much everything. Post Age of Overlord, I will be moving away from the Samurai build. I think that once Age of Overlord comes out, this engine is not going to be as needed anymore. I think there will be a lot of better options. One thing to take note of as well is that we will be getting another main deck Vanquish Soul monster, so making your build centered around that is going to help you a lot. We are also getting a Vanquish Soul trap card, and it's an engine trap card, so that gives us the ability to play stuff like Thrust in the main deck, like while having utility that actually serves a function with your engine. So yeah, like that's pretty much it. I guess before we end the video, two things. One, thank you to my sponsors, EJGaming, or link in the description. Thanks to them, they're lending me one or two cards that are in my deck. They're a fantastic sponsor. They have good prices for single cards. They already have pre-orders for sets like Age of Overlord and like the anniversary set, so feel free to check them out. One of the owners from EJGaming, he told me that there's going to be an ultimate rare in one of these two OTS packs. Let's see if they're right. If they're not right, we can call them out next time we do something. How about have them make a giveaway or something very interesting, right? That would be very nice for the channel. If they end up correct, that shows you how great they are as a sponsor. And hey, maybe you should like get product from them. So the first OTS pack had the Galaxy 100 garbage card, not that great. Let's see this second OTS pack. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Nimble Angler. Yep. No ultimate rares. I guess we should punish them, right? So jokes aside, thank you for watching this video. Hope this video was very informative. I hope this answered a lot of you guys' questions. And if you have more questions involving Vanquish Soul stuff, feel free to comment them down below. I will try to get to them in a very quick manner. And yeah, just stay tuned for more videos. And keep practicing and keep dueling.